Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. We are traveling teachers. We live in China. For the last 3 years we've been living here, and we've been online teaching for 7 weeks now.
So we just wanted to give you a little insight into what online teaching has been like for us. I mean, we're not experts by any means. We're new to this as well, but hopefully some of what we've learned these past 2 months can help teachers back home that are probably just starting online teaching.
Tips and tricks.
More tips and tricks. All right.
Part 2.
All right. Well, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is quality, not quantity. So the very first week, we tried giving our students a full course load. So if I taught 4 classes in a day, then I would try and give them 4 classes worth of material. However, what we didn't take into account was how much slower the students would be because we're not there to help guide them. So we just gave way too much work, and students were doing assignments at 9, 10 p.m. and then it would take me maybe 3 or 4 hours each day to check those assignments. So we're just giving way too much. So lesson learned, just focus on
Less is more.
Yeah, less is more, and understand that the students are going to be a little bit slower because you're not there.
Grade 4 team as well. We gave way too much work for the kids. Just like Ashley said, we gave them pretty much the same amount of work that they would normally get in a day. And so I was marking work for, at all hours of the day. That was our first week of online teaching. The second week, though, we started doing live teaching, so we did 1 class per day. Coworker Communication. Every week we have a grade level meeting. When we were in school, we had maybe, 3 or 4 meetings per week, but now we're down to 1, which is great. And we collaborate, like we get on Microsoft Teams and we talk about what we're going to be doing for the following week, and we divvy up the work as well between the teachers.
Grade 3 has been doing the same thing. We meet once a week. It used to be a lot more collaboration, but at the same time we also kind of taught it our own way when we were in regular school. So we would decide upon the standards and then teach it our own way, whereas now we're all collaborating and we're using each other's PPTs. Like right now I'm planning our grammar lessons. I'm focusing just on grammar, and the other teachers will focus on a different aspect, and then we'll share our PPTs. So that way it's not so overwhelming trying to figure out how to teach on this new platform and what kind of work and what we should be doing. So it's a lot more collaboration, which I kind of appreciate.
Yeah.
Live teaching versus pre-recorded. So in the first week of school, we did pre-recorded lessons. We uploaded them to Youku, which is like the Chinese version of YouTube. For those of you that don't know, we're not supposed to use YouTube in China, but it's a secret. So we uploaded our videos to Youku. The good thing about those is that the students can pause them and rewatch them. So it helps with some of your low-level learners. But I find that live teaching just is a lot better if it's possible. Students can ask you questions in real time and really make sure that you understand and they understand what's going on, and the feedback is instantaneous. So I think I'm more team live teaching. I wasn't at first. I thought pre-recorded would be the way to go, but now I see that live teaching is more beneficial.
I agree. It took a little bit of time to get used to it, but live teaching is in fact better. As Ashley said, students have access to you so they could ask questions as they come up. Mm-hmm. Next topic is resources. What do you need to teach online? Well, we are using Microsoft Teams right now, and of course I know that there is a Zoom out there as well, but Ashley's going to talk about that in just a minute. We have in the past, we've used Seesaw, which is like a portfolio website for the kids. It's really great. Like most of the aspects of Seesaw are in fact free. There is a paid version as well, which gives you access to attaching standards to different assignments and this type of thing. So it helps to, when you come to report card time. A colleague of mine, he is a big proponent of Seesaw, and he has the paid version, And so he really enjoys it. He thinks it's a great tool to use.
Yes. My kids, we've been using Seesaw in my class, and I think Graham as well. The kids really enjoy it. It's pretty student friendly. There's lots of little different activities that you can assign your students that are pre-made, or you can make your own assignments that the students can then upload themselves. It does take a little bit of a learning curve. It's very student friendly, so I think it would be a great resource if you've never tried it before.
Yeah, and also for elementary kids, there's like social media aspect to it as well, and so you can teach online skills, I guess, in terms of how you interact with your peers, either in your classroom or across the grade level. Sometimes we post things to our blog, and all the grade 4 team has their blogs connected, and so whenever we come to the end of a unit, we can share our projects and then other kids can comment on it. Of course, teacher also has access to any of the comments, and so the teacher can screen anything that they deem inappropriate or hurtful, this type of thing. So yeah, Seesaw is great. Moving on, Khan Academy. Khan Academy is wonderful. We use it for math mainly, but Khan Academy spans like numerous different subjects, ranging from elementary school up to grade 12 and even beyond.
True, we used it for, when we were studying for our exams to become teachers, we used Khan Academy to help us review some middle school math.
Yeah, and the best part about Khan, even before COVID-19 happened, Khan was free, or still is free. They ask for a donation, of course, but you can set up your kids on Khan Academy, whether it's math or, you know, whatever.
Any subject.
Yeah, and yeah, it takes a little bit of, there's a bit of a learning curve like anything, but I think that the kids, once they get up and running with it, it's pretty good. It's not meant to replace your math class, but it's meant to supplement like an extension activity, and it's great online, you know, now that we're all at home teaching from home.
I'm going to be talking about Nearpod. I haven't tried it in my class. My friend Lacey, she just told me about Nearpod. I think the grade 1 teachers are using it, so if grade 1 is using it, then you know it's very elementary, young student friendly. It's pretty cool because in real time, the students do different activities. So you can give a quiz, or you can have them draw a picture, and it sends you that feedback immediately. And then you can share that with the class. So you can take away their names and say, okay, well, this student work, maybe they got it wrong. Let's talk about what happened. How can we do better? Or hopefully in the future, I'll have used it more so I can show you a little bit more what it looks like, but it seems like a pretty cool tool. I really like that it's a lot more interactive than just having, because when you're dealing with 20, we have 20 kids more or less. When you're dealing with 20 kids, 30 kids online, there's not as much interaction. Whereas with this, they can do different activities, they can write out their answers, they can draw pictures, and then you can see what kinds of things that they're producing in real time. So I like that a lot.
All right, Epic is our next big hit. Epic is, once again, online platform where
surprise, all of these are online.
The kids can go on there and can read books. They have whole, you know, entire book, many different levels spanning from like A through Z in terms of difficulty levels. I remember that, you know, teachers can set up their students with Epic at school, and if they access it from school, it's free. I remember it was a paid subscription at home.
After school hours.
After school hours. Is it still paid, or?
I want to say because of the pandemic, they are also doing free accounts, but I'm not quite sure on that one, so we'll have to double check. But definitely teachers, set your class up with an Epic account, and then I want to say from 7 to 5, then students definitely have access to a free online library. There's so many books. It's really great. My kids love it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. RazKids. We've been using RazKids. We use it at our current school, and we've used it at our previous school as well. It's beautiful. It's just wonderful. If you can get your school to purchase an account for your teachers, it's just
I want to say RazKids is also free now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. RazKids is an online reading platform where the kids, based upon their level, like between A to Z, whatever level that you have them on, for example, they can read books that are of that level, or I think 5 levels above, 5 levels below.
It depends on what you set it to. I have it set to 1 level above and 2 levels below, or you can leave it open.
Yeah, but what I love about it is not just the fact that, I mean, so the kids read on RazKids and then you can see their login time, and I know the assumption is that if they're logged in, I guess you assume that they're reading, and so you can see how much that they've been using the platform. Also, it breaks down skills as well. I oftentimes encourage my kids when they're using RazKids to do a few things. First of all, there's an option to listen to the story. Second, for them to read the story. Third, for them to record themselves reading the story. There's a record function on there. And fourth, we encourage them to do the quiz at the end. When they record their voice, when they record themselves reading, you as a teacher have access to that from your side of the platform, so even at home, of course. And the comprehension questions that they give, they're awesome because they cover...
All right, Brainpop is another free thing. I thought Brainpop was really cool because they were one of the first platforms to reach out to China and say, oh, we know a lot of students in China are now not going to school, so we're offering free Brainpop. I want to say in the US it's also going to be the same, or wherever you are in the world. If you give them a message and let them know that your school is shut down, then they'll open up Brainpop for you for free. And then you can give your students access or show them on your live teaching. And these are great little videos. We use Brainpop Junior for grade 3, or I usually do, sometimes the older one. But it's got a cute little robot named Moby, and it really helps the students visualize what we're learning. I just love it so much. I use it all the time in class, so it's great that it's also an option for us now that we're working from home.
Brainpop is awesome.
I love that you're such a big fan of all of these.
No,
you're like, yeah, Brainpop, yeah, PPTs.
No, because
yeah, reading A to Z.
Some of these, I mean, a lot of these I've used even before this pandemic came about. I've used them in the class. I think that, using technology in the class is wonderful. I mean, these kids, they're going to grow up in a world where technology is more and more going to become important in their day-to-day lives. Of course, they have to use it responsibly as well.
I know, it's been interesting watching the students pick up online learning so quickly. They've been so resilient. We thought it was going to be really challenging, which there have been some challenges, but the students have picked up the new material just like that. So it's pretty interesting to watch them learn and grow. So the last resource that we want to talk about, the main thing, is Teams versus Zoom. They both have pros and cons. Graham, you want to talk about Zoom?
I don't know much about Zoom.
Oh, he doesn't know about Zoom.
Okay. I can talk about Teams.
Teams.
Okay, so Microsoft Teams. At first, I did not like it that much, but I've slowly got more comfortable with it as we've gone along. One thing that I do like about Teams is that you can post assignments and
give feedback all in one platform. There's a chat function, and the chat function keeps going, so even after class, students can message me and ask a question if they have any questions. So it's a lot more material in one space. However, there's also Zoom, which is nice because you can mute everybody. You get a lot more control as a teacher, which I know some of us have struggled with Teams because we do not always have the ability to keep students muted. Zoom has a raise hand feature, which I find really nice.
Yeah, Teams is supposed to come out with that later on this year, I believe.
I want to say Teams is designed for older students and for corporations. It wasn't really meant for young learners. My students have been doing fine with it. We've been using it for 7 weeks. They've learned how to use it, and now we're ready to go. We know the routine of the class, and it's been great. Teams is also great because you can record the class. I think Zoom you can do the same.
Not sure.
Zoom and Teams you can record the class. I like that in Teams it automatically uploads the video to our chat. my students tell me that they do use the recorded lesson. So it'd just be like a pre-recorded lesson that the students can go back. Teams also has, I feel like I'm an ad for Teams now. Teams also has a live...
Not sponsored.
Yeah. Teams also has a live caption feature, which I think is pretty cool. My students and I were just playing with that the other day. Some of my lower level students appreciate that they can read what I'm saying, which helps them process it a little bit better. The next thing that I want to talk about is wellness, which we do have some social emotional learning classes, or SEL. We've been doing those about once a week to make sure that students can express how they're feeling. Surprisingly, my students have been fairly okay with working online. They've enjoyed being able to see each other for these online learning sessions, and they've been pretty resilient, but it's a good place to talk about their feelings and get an outlet. We also try and make sure that even though I have a lesson to teach, I'm a little bit more okay with students derailing the conversation than I normally would be, because I'm not here to be like, you have to learn this, do this, do this. I just want them
Normally she's like that in class.
Always, yeah. No, I'm okay with the students derailing the conversation of, like, especially in science and social studies class, I find that they have a lot of questions, and I'm okay with answering those, because you want them to continue that level of learning. You're not there in person, so it's not quite the same as it's gonna be. So understand that we're also there to remind students that learning is in fact fun. It's not all just staring at a computer. Wellness and making sure that students are excited to keep learning is very important, as is important as making sure that you cover all your standards and all the topics, because it's not going to be quite the same as teaching from home or teaching at school. Graham has nothing to add about wellness. All right.
No, my kids are not well. Behavior management. Okay, this is my specialty.
Is it?
Well, I have a very challenging class this year.
He does.
Which I'm probably going to cut out from the video.
No, it's okay. It's okay to be honest.
Okay, so just like the start of the school year, for me, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys, especially if you're an elementary school teacher, right away you set up the expectations for the school year, your expectations of the kids, and then you have conversations and ask them what kind of expectations that they might have for the school year. And so just the same with Microsoft Teams, when we started doing online teaching, the kids had done 1 week of Microsoft Teams with the Chinese teachers, and so they had a little bit of experience under their belt, and I came in there, I had no idea what I was doing, to be perfectly honest with you. And so it took a few days to get used to it, but you really need to set down some expectations. With Microsoft Teams, for example, I let my kids know that they can unmute their mic if I call upon them. If I'm not calling upon them generally, then their microphone should be closed. Otherwise, everyone's going to open their mic and start talking, and the problem is your voice is not any louder than any of their voices. And so, in classroom, if there's a lot going on and you have to get their attention, you can. However, online, like I said, your voice is not that loud in comparison. And so, what else was I going to talk about?
You kind of trailed off. So when we go into class, now the expectation is turn off your video, turn off your microphone, and be ready for class.
No Chinese.
Yes, no Chinese. When we come in, I think it's important that we keep our video on. I like the students to be able to see me, to see that I am in fact a live person. They can see that I'm pointing, and
they can see when you're frowning
and gesturing. So I keep my video and microphone on. I don't know how it works in Graham's class, but in my class, to call on students, I'll pull names out of a hat, or I have the students say their own name, because sometimes, I don't always know who's talking. I've gotten used to hearing the sounds of their voice and knowing which voice matches to which student, but I still, if there's 20 of them, or 5 of them wanting to say the answer at the same time, they have to say their own name before they respond, and whichever name I hear the best, then I call on that student.
I can speak to that. How I do it, I don't pull a name out of a hat, but I use Dojo.
Class Dojo.
I use Class Dojo, and We forgot to even talk about Dojo. Dojo is like a
Class Dojo.
Class Dojo is a platform for behavior management, and so you have your class there, and there's an option to randomly pick a student, and so oftentimes, if one student is reading part of a slide, then I'll say, okay, who's next? Who's going to read the next question? This type of thing, and then they either can pick somebody or they could say random, and so I will randomly pick someone. And that's how, as well, we play games. Sometimes we play like Jeopardy or Bingo or that type of thing. And so Dojo or Class Dojo is a good option to use when randomizing the names in your class. If your internet is not good, or if it's lacking in any way, there might be, with everybody on the internet nowadays, even much more than they were before, because everybody's working from home, it could put like a huge strain on the system, either Teams or Zoom or what have you. And so if you do have a problem with the internet, then there's always the option to leave the class and just tell them, okay, hold on a moment, I'm going to leave and come back, and then sign back in. And so I encourage my kids not to...
I can't see, teacher, I can't hear, teacher. Which it's going to happen.
I encourage them not to be so bothersome as to do that because...
We've learned to use the chat.
Yeah, if they have a problem...
We're still working on that 7 weeks later. If they can't see or hear, use the chat. So if it's one person, then I'll say, oh, okay, Angela, I see you're having a hard time. Why don't you try leaving the class and coming back? But if I see there's 5 or 6 students saying they can't see or can't hear, then I realize it's probably on my end, so I'm gonna hang up. I'll let them know in the chat that I'm gonna hang up and come back.
Yeah, because you can only spend so much time during your 40-minute class troubleshooting Wi-Fi problems.
For 28-year-olds.
As a joke, I say to the kids, look, I'm not tech support, you guys, so sometimes there are problems on your side, and we've established methods by which we go through if we have these problems. And eventually, I also say I encourage them to watch the playback as well.
Yeah, we always record every class just in case, because there's always 1 or 2 students that has some sort of internet problems.
Or are out to lunch.
Or, doing what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But at least there's always the pre-recorded version that they can watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry this video is a little bit rambly. We're trying to include everything we've learned. Hopefully it's helpful for you. We'll include some clips of our own classes now. And hopefully this video has helped you. Hopefully it's not too rambly. We're excited about this.
Any comments, questions, anything at all?
If you have any suggestions, because even things like Nearpod, another teacher was telling me about Flipgrid, which is another video resource. I'm not really sure, but if there's anything that you've used in your own class that has been helpful for you, then be sure to leave a comment below, so that way we know and can learn, because
that way we can interact with each other.
Wow. Yeah, we're constantly trying to make this a better system. So yeah, hopefully we can all work together.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye.
I don't know how to explain.
It's this thing right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a rocket goes into space, and Amy Wong, this is not an easy question. What do you think lifts the rocket into the air? Because we have gravity pulling things down to Earth. So how does a rocket get into the air?
It looks a little, do you guys see what I'm seeing? It looks a little like a lizard, yeah?
Yeah. I can just see a lizard body, but the lizard head wasn't so...
It's not that clear, no. You have to be a little creative. All right, so these are the Rockies. They're a major mountain range located in the western North America. The Rocky Mountains stretch 3,000 kilometers. Do you remember what is a mountain range?
Michaela.
Michaela.